Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and if you're not subscribed yet, then please like, comment, subscribe, share. That really helps my channel and I appreciate all of you. This video is going to be completely unscripted. I want to talk about some of the lessons I learned in 2023, and in particular in this video I'm going to talk about romantic relationships. Exactly, relationships with the opposite gender, so with men, since that is more relevant to me at the moment. I want to say that some of the lessons, some of the things I'm going to talk about are the things I learned from my own experience, from my mistakes, and some of the things that I learned from listening to a lot of podcasts and TikToks and other YouTube videos. And whether you agree or disagree with these things, it's totally up to you. It's obviously your decision on how to live your life and build your own relationships. But from my observation, the things I'm going to talk about are the things that actually work in real life. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's get started. Okay, let's start with the beginning, which is meeting someone and how to meet someone and all of those things. Some people prefer meeting someone so-called in the wild, which is in real life, and it can be friends of friends, it could be shared hobbies, work, whichever options are available. Then there is this thing is called dating apps. Obviously, we all know about dating apps, and I feel like a lot of people have a negative perception of dating apps. First of all, people think if we met on a dating app, it's not a meet cute moment, it's not a romantic thing, and it's not sort of like a good story to tell our kids or grandkids or whatever. Some people say, let's make up a story on how we met, and let's not tell people that we met on a dating app, which I disagree. I personally think that essentially, if you met the right person for you, whatever way you met, whether it's on a dating app, whether it's friends of friends, whether it's a work environment, or whatever that is, at the end of the day, if that person is actually the right person for you, it doesn't matter how you met, really. The right person for you, whether you met at the grocery store or on a dating app or in a climbing gym or something, the outcome would be the same. I try to avoid saying your soulmate or the one, because I do believe that there are options for people. It's not just one person that you are destined to be with your whole life, since obviously we know that people sometimes get married and divorced multiple times throughout their life. It's not like there is only one person for everyone. I believe that under certain circumstances, if you actually both make that decision that you want to be with each other and you want to be consistent with each other and you want to put effort to build something meaningful with each other, you can make it work with some different people. Obviously, you can't make it work with just anyone, and you do have to have that aha moment to click with each other. And there are a lot of things that go into that connection that needs to happen when you meet that right person for you. But essentially, to just think that there's only one person for you and that's it, and you have to find that one person in the entire world, it's almost like a scarcity mindset. It's almost like finding, a needle, which can make you feel a little bit overwhelmed and even afraid that you gonna spend your entire life looking for that person and you might never find that person and you're just gonna end up with the wrong person. Whichever that is, I try to avoid that mindset that there is only the one, your soulmate, your... I like how someone told me that, pardon my French, but you're not a bot. There aren't two halves of you. You are already whole, and you can choose the person you decide to build something with. So let's go back to the dating apps. That is its own beast. I did meet a friend of mine, actually, from... it wasn't a dating app, it was a different app, but it was more like a networking app. But I did meet a friend from the networking app. I was skeptical in the beginning about making long-lasting connections with people when you meet on the apps, but at the same time, I don't see why not, because now, especially after listening to a lot of podcasts and TikToks and other YouTube videos, I hear a lot that people did meet their future spouse on a dating app. So that does give me hope. And for people who are skeptical about dating apps or have a bad associations with them, I want to give that hope that you can meet someone who is the right person for you on a dating app. There are obviously pros and cons to the dating apps. Pros are, for me personally, I can spend less time going somewhere and hoping that maybe, like, okay, I'll go to this event and maybe I'll meet someone special there for me at that event randomly. Or maybe I'll go to the grocery store, I'll meet my special someone, or coffee shop. Yes, all those things possible. And a lot of times, as we all know, you might meet that special someone when you least looking for them. You would think on a dating app, you need to purposefully sit there and, swipe, like, talk to people, I low-key think that it really doesn't even matter how active you are in setting your intentions into dating someone, meeting someone first. I think that essentially what was meant for you, it will be. And it doesn't mean that the only thing you can do is just like to sit in your pajama with a box of pizza every night and watching a movie, and that's it, and that's all you do with your life. You do need to put some intention, and you do need to be open-minded and say yes to things. You just need to be open-minded, not specifically do things in order to just meet that special someone. You need to actually enjoy doing things and seeing what's out there. I feel like keeping that open mind really helps in not only meeting that special someone, but also just enjoying your life and being present in the moment. Cons of the dating apps. Let me tell you, some of the apps, they do promote that thing where it's like you have a very limited amount of not only likes per day, but people who you can even see on the app a day. And I get their intention. They try to promote quality over quantity, but a lot of people they present in front of me, and that is a very limited amount of people per day. A lot of them I either just don't really like and don't match with, or some of them who I do match with, the conversation just goes into nowhere. The thing about dating apps, a lot of conversations on the dating apps, they fizzle out, and you need to be okay with that. It's nothing wrong with you. Maybe even nothing wrong with that guy who he just lost interest. He stopped texting you for whatever reason. Maybe he wasn't even putting intention on meeting someone in the first place, and he just treats it as a validation to his ego. Maybe he's just bored and he just uses the dating app just to, entertain himself. Talk to a pretty girl, on a dating app, whatever. People have different motivations in their lives. I did notice that a lot of people, even if they say they're looking for a relationship, and maybe they are, but even if they lost interest in you and the conversation just went into nowhere, that's okay. Honestly, it's just such a normal thing, and don't take it too close to your heart. It's normal. Another thing is that talking about guys who are just perhaps bored, or they just need an ego boost, they might match with you, and they might keep texting you for days without an intention of meeting you in person. And that is still a waste of your time and energy. So I strongly suggest to not allow that happen in a scenario where it actually works, where you actually use the dating app in a proper way. When you match with someone, your first few things you text to each other, they should just be an indicative of, okay, you can have potentially a conversation with each other. You can talk to each other. That's it. And after these few texts, a man should invite you out, or at least start planning on how you two can meet in person. And if that doesn't happen, if you just see him keep texting you and about things that are at that point is already irrelevant, so things that are not in any way related to whether or not you can be potentially compatible and how you can meet and what you can potentially do on a date that both of you would enjoy. Honestly, anything further than that, if he just keeps texting you for like days and not even a hint on you two meeting, you should just drop it. I mean, obviously you should trust your own intuition. A lot of times too, you can tell from, okay, you need those few texts because you need to see how you even feel about that person from just texting to each other. And if something feels off already at the point when you two are just texting to each other, if something feels off about the person and something just feels abnormal, even if that person seems very positive and very delighted to text you or whatever that is, and even if that person is trying to kind of set up a meeting in person with you, still, if you feel that something is off, and even if you can't point exactly what it is, that's your intuition, and your intuition most of the time, if not always, knows best. So I suggest to really, really trust it, especially in romantic relationships. It's gonna tell you whether or not this is the person you should meet up with. You don't own anything to this person, and except obviously basic human decency. We're talking about building a romantic relationship with that special someone, and we are looking for that special someone, and we're talking about possibly living a life together and building something together. So we're talking about something that is a big deal. In that case, you need to always think of your own good and what is best for you. Even though, as I said, to have basic human decency towards anyone is a must. Another must is for you to think what benefits you. Because remember that you cannot ruin your entire life just because you want to cater to someone else. So that's that. Let's move on to, I guess, the first date. I personally do like just meeting for like a coffee or a tea. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I don't really consider it as like officially like a first date. I consider it as, some people say, meet and greet. I like that meeting for something like a drink is very easy and flexible with timing. And what I like to do is I like to walk with that person side by side. It makes actually things easier when you can just not sit in front of each other and stare at each other, where you two just met and you basically are strangers to each other, and you have to have a conversation with that person. It is difficult for a lot of people, and you don't really know the person that well, and you need to like find common ground. It can be quite challenging, it can feel awkward. Whatever that is, I do feel like it is true. If you are doing some sort of activity together, it makes things easier, but I don't recommend this sort of activities when you can't really have a conversation with each other, like actually going and doing something where you both have to be like engaged in that activity and focus on the activity. Then you can really have a good conversation with each other. So that's why I like walking, that it's something that doesn't require your full attention. You don't have to be fully engaged in that activity because it's just walking, obviously. It gets both of you moving, and it makes things a bit easier. But what I really don't recommend in terms of that walking thing on a first time you meet someone, I had someone who tried to invite me out on a hike as like a first time for us to meet, and I thought it was a horrible idea. There are all cons to that. I did not go out with that person. Why hiking is a horrible idea for like the first time you're meeting someone? Well, first of all, obviously a lot of people say safety, because essentially it depends how crowded your city is. And okay, like I live in Los Angeles, any hike would be pretty crowded, not like crowded, but you would meet people here and there. It's not like you're completely alone, two of you in the woods, but still you are alone with that person on a trail that also might be narrow. So a lot of times you can't even walk side by side. You have to walk one person in front, the other person behind, which is weird because you just met and you trying to have a conversation. That person might be a serial killer, they might be a sexual maniac, I don't know, you never know. So that's one of the reasons I suggest against hiking, even though I personally love hiking and I do this a lot by myself. I would not go on a hike as a first date or like first meet and greet. Second thing, honestly, I get an impression that that guy who asked me out on a hike is willing to put very little effort and is also cheap, to be honest, or even broke, and to the point that he doesn't even want to buy me a coffee. Honestly, that just also shows. If this is the amount of effort he's willing to put is to walk with me somewhere on a hike, that's something that I wouldn't be interested in. And another con that I'm gonna mention is that when you two just met and you try to get to know each other at least a little bit, get a first impression, see what the person is like, and you're trying to have a conversation, and then hiking, it's a physical activity. I consider it as an exercise, as a workout, essentially, and especially if it's not like an easy hike where you just like walk around the garden, where you have to walk uphill, downhill, whatever. It's a physical activity and you get out of breath sometimes, and some people start sweating, and it just gets like weird, like you trying to have a conversation but then you out of breath, and then you also don't really look cute. You're probably wearing very minimum makeup, if any, and you, I don't know, you have a hair in a bun and whatever, you're wearing sweatpants and whatever that is. A lot of times you don't really look cute because you are prepared to work out, and then especially if you do get dressed up and all of that to hike, that also kind of out of place. Then it's you being too like overdressed for a hike, so that also doesn't make sense. I personally only see cons about going on a hike as a first date. Next is, should you have a second date with that person? Well, obviously that person has to be interested in you, not only you interested in them. It has to be both. You have to both be interested in each other, okay? Even though if that person is interested in you but you feel like it's a maybe, let's say the date wasn't horrible per se, and let's say that person seems like a decent person, but you don't feel like, heck yeah, I want to see that person again, or you don't feel like you, let's say, attracted to that person at least a little bit, and you feel like, okay, I can get behind this, I feel like there is something there. If you don't feel that, even if that person is a decent person and is interested in you, again, I repeat myself, there is no point in going on a second date just to be kind to that person. And you being kind to that person is telling that person from the get-go that you don't feel like you are that interested in them, and you don't feel like there is something there that can develop at least into something else, something bigger. But you're just like, yeah, they're a nice person and I can have a conversation with that person. But if you don't feel like there is something there, you actually cater into that person more by rejecting them from the get-go. Again, I repeat myself, we're talking about something that is a big deal. You're looking for that special someone. It doesn't have to be like, okay, the date is not horrible, then you should go second, third, fourth, fifth date and whatever, and make it last a lot longer than it should. We're talking about you both finding someone who is the right person for both of you, and it might not be you two together. That person will probably have someone better for them, and you will have someone better for you. So my point is, if it's a maybe, it's a no. And I know some people say that sometimes you need to give it time, and sometimes you don't feel that way towards someone, and then it just gradually increases and develops, and then you see out of a sudden that something is there, and that out of a sudden you are attracted to each other and you wanna try to date each other and see what happens. But I know some people say it, and some people even say, well, you need to become friends first, and then you need to be friends for some time, and then you develop romantic relationships towards each other. If that's something that you had an experience with, let me know also in the comments. And I do feel like, yes, that happens, but I feel like a lot of times there's always something there, and that's when it out of a sudden, you think out of a sudden, but it's not. So that's why I believe that the first time you're meeting someone and you're not sure whether or not you even want to see that person again, which is a basic thing, it's very simple, if you're not sure whether or not you're even interested in spending time with that person again and talking to them again. If it's a maybe, it's a no. Another thing I want to say that I should have mentioned earlier, but it is important to mention either way, is when you texting each other first and you setting up a date, a meet and greet, whatever. If you're setting a date with each other and you as a woman text them, oh, we're still on, I just want to confirm, I will blah blah blah. Again, this is your personal preference, you do whatever you want with that, but from my own observation, I advise against that. It's his job. If he's really interested in seeing you, he should be the one texting you and being like, I just want to confirm that we're still on. Not as a question, more like as a statement, just letting you know that yes, he's still for that and it's still happening. I know some people have different understandings of that, and some people think that okay, we already planned this and we don't have to confirm multiple times. We plan this, then it means that this is happening. And some people think, no, if he didn't confirm or she didn't confirm that, then it means it's not happening. Some people have different rules, and we know that communication obviously is key to any relationship. It is important, and we want to avoid misunderstanding, obviously, but it just always is that thing when a man is interested in seeing you. It's usually pretty clear. Okay, like you might have a anxious attachment style, and that's a completely different story, and you might have to start questioning things even when there's nothing to question, when it seems pretty clear. A lot of the time, if he's interested, you will know it. If you find yourself getting really like anxious and being like, oh, if he's interested, if he's not interested, does he want to see me, does he not want to see me, I'm sorry, but it just shows that most of the times that is just, he is actually not interested. And essentially, when you go on a first date, second date, third date, another thing too that I want to say is that don't try to jump out of your pants to impress that person, okay? Again, as a woman, this is a man's job. This is just how the nature works, the rules of the wild, okay? A man should be the one impressing you, and you should pay attention on how he makes you feel and whether or not you like him, because a lot of times, actually, if he doesn't like you, he's not gonna make you feel good. Don't even think like, okay, is he the one, is he my future husband, if he's my future fiance, whatever. Just one moment at a time, and being present in that moment really also helps you to be more grounded and to feel less anxious, because anxiety is essentially us overthinking and worrying about our future. But you being in the present is a sort of antidote. Also, I don't know about you, but for me personally, I'm not looking to babysit anyone, and I did notice that a lot of guys, even though they are grown as adults, they are not mature. This is something that I don't want for myself, and I am not looking for a man child. I'm not looking to babysit anyone, especially a grown as adult. So I want to give all the chances that I can give to that man to be a man, to man up. A lot of women in relationships, they start to act towards their partner as if it was their child. That's just intuition, that's just automatically what women do. It's that the way they give love to someone and they show love to someone is the way that they should be showing love to their children, not to their partner. It's the love of them dropping everything, dropping their whole life for that person and giving them everything and trying to cater to them and trying to, I don't know, take care of them and all of that. This is the love that women are wired instinctively to give, but to their children. not to their partner. Our partner is a grown-ass person. We should not be babysitting them, taking care of them, dropping our whole life for them. This is a motherly instinct, and I know it's gonna be counterintuitive, but this love you should be saving for your children if you are planning on having children. Again, this is up to you. I am not telling you what to do, but this is from my observation. All of that gonna sound counterintuitive, but you should let a man be a man. Okay, I feel like this video is getting a little long, and there are a lot more things that I want to talk about, so I will probably have to make part 2, part 3, we'll see. And there are also a lot more lessons that I want to talk about that I learned in 2023, not only romantic relationships lessons but also life lessons, and I will leave those for my next videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.